evening all. Well, it's finally here and it's brilliant. That's all I can say. Too long didn't read, don't want to watch the video. It's very good and I like it. What you're going to see is you're going to see one of the, strangely enough, a mission. I'm not sure how the missions are in the game, but hey, maybe it's just part of the tutorial. I don't know. This is just after the first tutorial. You then seem to have this mission where you can then go deal with some rogue dude. And basically this guy has stolen a battleship. Now, I didn't know it was a battleship at this point. I was feeling mighty jaunty with my 2 cruisers and 1 support vessel. But this is a great example of what this game is going to be. First impressions, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Very much like playing Battlefleet Gothic back in the day. I was strangely taken back to a gaming room in Bradford city centre on a Sunday, and I'm sat there basically in a pair of jeans that haven't been washed for some considerable time, and I'm basically sat there playing Battlefleet Gothic. I'm there playing Epic Warhammer 40,000, if you remember playing that. Post in the comments, because that was my game. I actually have never played a single game of Warhammer 40k because it was all a bit too close for me. I preferred Titans and, I don't know, just stomping stuff from mighty machines. And Battlefleet Gothic for me was just the wonderful beginning of this whole journey. I love Battlefleet Gothic. Everything about it is just exciting to me. So let's talk about the game. It is a work in progress. This is obviously just the multiplayer beta, which strangely has a single player mission in it, but there we go. And I would say it was just so brilliant. I can't fault it really at all. There's a few areas that maybe need polish, such as texture pop and things like that, but it's a work in progress. You would expect that. This is obviously not a finished product. Did I enjoy the game? Mightily. Is it going to be worth getting? Absolutely doodly. And I think you should totally think of getting this game. So we have our fleet here slowly encroaching upon hostile space, and we're going to have to figure out actually what to do. Now, in terms of the way the game works, let me just take you back to a time when you played a game called Empire Total War. And if you remember in that, there was a really nice sea battle campaign thing that you could do where you basically would take the ships, you would then fire broadside, all this. Very similar to that. Probably similar to a million other games, but that's the one that really came to mind, was this kind of, hey look, you've got this ship. It can kind of move in a 2-plane direction, but that's fine. We're not going to complain at that. And you basically have to do things like maneuver, give it orders. Now, I would say it is designed to be a multi-ship thing. So you're not really controlling one ship very highly particularly, and that's a good thing. You're here to basically say to your other captains, you do this at these particulars. So for example, you engage at point blank range, you engage at distance, you basically sit prow on, you sit and broadside. So yeah, and many other things. But that is a really kind of nice beginning of the game. Now, interestingly, what I've done now is I've actually given my flagship the order to boost like a mofo, and he's I'm trying to figure out how to actually get him back in the cloud. I did chuckle at that. That's just me not understanding how to play the game. But it was very, very intuitive. The camera controls were slightly confusing because I've just never played a game with these sorts of camera controls, but easily picked up, and I think just generally was a thrilling thing to play. So here we go. Fired a probe at an anomaly in space. Launch scouter, if you know what that's from, post in the comments. And the scouter is launched and off it goes. And this is when we then unfortunately find out that it's not just any ship that this dude has stolen. He's stolen basically it's an Emperor class battleship, I believe. Post in the comments if I got that wrong, but it's certainly a battleship, and it's a big bugger. And this is where I think again I was starting to lose my vim and vigor, that I actually had not enough ships to deal with this thing. Usually 2 cruisers, I would say, probably could take on a battleship. 2 cruisers, admiraled, if you like, by a complete noob like me, I would not be so sure. So literally, a small elderly woman could be admiraling that enemy battleship and probably kicking my ass. So look at that damage already. He's just wrecked my flagship, utterly jacked it up. Love it. I think that is absolutely brilliant. What he did there is he fired all of his cannons at me. He broadsided me in one single shot, and he also fired boarding torpedoes. And the heretics got in and started smashing up guns before my dudes could run through corridors with shotguns, killing them. So very annoying indeed. So as you see, what I've got to do is turn my good side to him, and again, this is right back to where we were with Empire Total War. So I think in general, I'm really liking this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Multiplayer is going to be hilarious because I'm not entirely sure how on earth that's going to work. We are going to play that. For all I know, it's going to be the staple of the game. I would probably suggest it probably will be. There is an interesting campaign though, just to bear in mind. There is a campaign that looks pretty open-ended, a turn-based campaign no less. But don't let that put you off. I think actually it's going to work quite well. So I'm quite excited and I just can't hide it. But anyway, look, so from this point of view, you would say we've got him right where we want him, wouldn't you? It looks as if the ship is not entirely... For a start, he's aiming at the wrong ship. That's a given. He's shooting the small ship when he probably should be taking out the threat. But basically what we're doing here is we're just going to take apart his warp drive, and that's designed to basically stop him running away. So we targeted his subsystems, and hopefully it works. In terms of, I think, some of the graphics, they're probably needing a bit more kind of polish, I'd say. Again, this is a work in progress, but certainly what I've seen so far, well impressed indeed. That little green effect he's showing there is him repairing himself, so he's actually got his repair teams working. Now, I should have been doing that as well. I should have been trying to get my guns back online. As you can see, I'm trying to kind of turn and face. We're engaging at point blank range, but it's an Emperor class battleship. That is a big bugger, and there's not, you're going to need a bit more than a rolled up newspaper to deal with that. And I think this is this is where I think it's going to be a bit tricky, let's say. I think generally the campaign's interesting because you're actually going to have a skill system, it would appear. So you'll carry on renown over the course of the battle. So if your ship dies, it's gone. Whereas if your ships survive, they then gain renown and become that little bit more capable, I guess, and able, and the crew becomes a bit stronger. There is a really nice mechanic about to come up, and I will just spoil it utterly now, that your ships can mutiny. I'm not kidding. Your ships that you feel that are trusty companions actually have that. There you go. He's mutinied. So he's actually, that's the captain of that ship, is now trying to escape the onslaught of what awaits him. And as you can see, it's just an insane broadside from an Emperor battleship. I think that would make most men's bowels turn to water, to be honest with you. And as you can see, we have the opportunity to actually execute the captain. I'm not kidding. I was actually able to order the crewsman to shoot the captain and take this ship over, and we promoted him to captain. For all we know, this is the guy that refills the vending machines, and we've just made him captain. We've literally just made Captain Rimmer. And if that's the case, I love this. What a lovely addition to the game, it really is. As you can see, things aren't going too well now because the battleship is kind of active and mobile. And hopefully you can appreciate how much of a badass these things are. No matter how many broadsides I do, I'm just never going to be able to match the firepower of this Emperor class battleship, if it is an Emperor class. I hope it is. I'm looking at it now. Certainly a battleship. I know there was multiple classes. The Retribution class was the one that I always remember having. Oh no, I lie. I had the Emperor, now I think about it. But it was really just the different complement of lances and macro cannons and things like that. That made the difference. So, highly recommend this game. It's $24.99 or $26.99 on Steam. That's Great British pounds. I think it's probably about $33, $34. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. If you like Warhammer generally, as my shields go down on my cruiser, I think this is one for you definitely to buy, because I just think it's good. I think this is such an open, nice, interesting take upon Battlefleet Gothic. I think it's really exciting. Now, it's no homeworld, but I'm glad it's not. I'm glad it's actually trying to be a bit more about two-dimensional tactics and seeing what you can do. So for me, I'm all over that. And as one of my cruisers is fatally in trouble, he's in a bit of a bad situation here. My flagship can't really help because I've lost so many of my turrets. This whole battle has now turned from us owning him to him owning us, and I think just in the blink of an eye, taking out my support ship has pretty much done its business on me. And as you can see, look, I'm trying to get my secondary cruiser. I'm actually going to literally get him into the warp. I'm trying to get him to warp out. That way I keep him, because I don't lose him. I'd be gutted if I lost a ship. It just seems such a penalty if you lose a ship, whereas you think about how you training your crews. If you lose a ship, it's not good. And we got him out, so therefore that was a good result. However, it's now one little damaged cruiser versus a battleship, a fully armed and operational battleship. So I'm going to have a bad time, shall I say, because this is not looking particularly good. Just when you start to see the damage come in, look at that. It just strips my shields in probably a single salvo. And the shields are pretty slow. I must admit, I'm pretty surprised how slow the shields are. But I have one weapon against him, which is extreme cowardice. So what I'm doing is I'm actually putting all my power into the engines and getting the hell out of there. Now, I probably can't beat this dude. I'm going to try and repair and literally kite him. Now, the way I do this is I put full power into the engines. Well, I don't even need to do that, but burn away, and then I hit the repair button. So we have a repair button, and what I've done is I've just fast forward there. I hid in a cloud for a bit, and I was able to repair slightly, but unfortunately, the hull repaired about 25%, and then he found me, and then he shot me right back down again. And at this point, there we go, he's found me again. And the turrets are not online. I'm facing him with the wrong way. We're going to do a high energy turn. Look at this high energy turn. Look at that. We actually fire retros and handbrake this mofo. And then now we're on a good side. We can actually put a broadside into him. And we're trying to basically now effectively survive, because I don't think we're going to beat him. Keeping him at range is not a bad idea, because maybe more of his shots will miss. But look, he's just firing so many more shots. I'm down to about 20% armor. It's not looking rosy cheeked here. So the only option I have is pretty much to try and kite him, try and take out some of the turrets on his side, keep on the side that's damaged. So you can see this side of my ship is damaged. On his, it's not so much. And maybe we might get the win, but unfortunately, his salvos are still hitting true. Look at this one. Kablow, and I am in serious trouble now. This is not the way it's meant to go. So I'm pretty much at this point deciding whether or not to bail. And if I bail, I can come fight again. But at least if I don't want to die for no reason whatsoever. That's pretty much the signal to go. Hit the warp jump. We're then sat there waiting on a timer. He has one more shot at me. Will he kill me? This is the suspense moment. Will he kill me with this salvo? Ooh, shields took it, and we're away. And that was a hell of a match. I think this is just a great example of how tense, exciting, and interesting my very first level of this game was, and I loved it incredibly. This is going to be definitely a game to watch. I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.